a PTSD memoir which describes her journey in understanding herself as a survivor. Please welcome her.
Hi, my name is April Pooley, and I'm an MSU alum and a postdoctoral fellow. I speak to you today as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I speak to you as a survivor of campus rape. And I speak to you as a neuroscientist who researches the effects of trauma and has been deeply connected to the sexual assault crisis in the MSU community for the last 6 years. My first and foremost reason for being here is to support the survivors who were abused by Larry Nasser over a period of more than 20 years. Over 150 survivors gave victim impact statements, and I wish I could personally thank each and every one of them for their strength and courage. Over 150 survivors testified in the Nasser hearings, but I want to recognize that there are many more survivors who have not come forward, and some victims who did not survive. Each of them deserves respect and justice, and that is why I'm here tonight. Almost half of women who are raped develop PTSD. That's a higher rate of PTSD than in military veterans. This is war. What protects people from developing PTSD and other health problems after sexual trauma is social support, is not being subject to cultural blame and shame, is having access to trauma-sensitive health care. We can do this, and we must support survivors. Supporting survivors isn't just about putting their perpetrator behind bars, and it isn't just about paying their therapy bills. It's about dismantling the systems in place that allowed this abuse to continue after it had been discovered. It took 20 years from the first report of Nasser's abuse for MSU to fire him. 20 years! Why? Because of a gymnastics coach who discouraged these survivors from reporting, because of an MSU psychologist who failed to uphold his duty as a mandatory reporter, because of other coaches and athletic trainers who insisted these survivors must be mistaken, because of investigators and administrators who believed these survivors couldn't possibly understand the nuanced relationship between a doctor and a patient, because of police officers who just took Nasser at his word and the other doctors who backed him up, because of a medical school dean who failed to ensure Nasser was complying with restrictions, because of MSU trustees who prioritized major donors and athletic rankings over the safety and well-being of our community, and because of a university president who refused to acknowledge any institutional or cultural contributions to the alarming sexual misconduct crisis at MSU. This is why it took 20 years and over 150 victims to stop Larry Nasser. This is institutional betrayal, and this community is not safe just because Larry Nasser is behind bars. What I just described included 14 MSU representatives who were made aware of what was going on and didn't take action. And all 14 of those people should be removed from their positions of authority. And anyone who continues to support the judgment of these 14 people, including the MSU Board of Trustees, should be removed as well. Because not only did their negligence allow Nasser to continue abusing hundreds of women and children for years, but their continued denial of responsibility is an additional trauma for all survivors. Listening to the survivors' incredibly courageous impact statements over the last week, we heard many of them describe feeling betrayed by the people who are supposed to protect them. Institutional betrayal is a real, peer-reviewed, researched concept. Studies show women who experience sexual assault and also experience some form of institutional betrayal have more severe post-traumatic stress symptoms. We often hear survivors say, I could have survived the assault, but I can't survive this blame. I can't survive being a social outcast with not being believed. It's not just that MSU leadership enabled Nasser or that they were complicit in his abuse. They were, but it's that their response and their lack of a response is an abuse in itself. The institution The institution that allowed Nasser to continue to see, and as we now know, assault patients for 16 months while he remained under criminal investigation is still in place. The institution that failed to provide federal officials required documents related to Larry Nasser's case is still in place. The institution that required Nasser to have a chaperone present to treat patients but never bothered to enforce their own regulations is still in place. These are not Larry Nasser's failings, these are MSU failings, and those responsible must be held accountable, and that doesn't mean retiring with a lifetime of perks. And the culture that told women and girls over and over again that what they were experiencing wasn't abuse, that it was normal, that they were lying or exaggerating, that they would be responsible for ruining a man's career if they reported, that culture is still here. That is rape culture, and we all live in it. This isn't just about Larry Nasser or Luanna K. Simon. This isn't about bad apples and lone wolves and recluse monsters. This is woven into the entire fabric of our society, and we, together, are about to tear it all down and create something new. And we can do that by creating a safe environment for reporting sexual assault with updated policies on reporting procedures and educational initiatives. We can do that with comprehensive and culturally relevant sexual assault prevention and consent education programs. We can do that by increasing funding and support to the sexual assault program, and we can do that by demanding any MSU official who stands in the way of creating this new culture be removed from any position of leadership, as we have already done with Luanna K. Simon and Mark Hollis. We can do this together, and we must, and we will. Thank you.